So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. So last time we left off, we had just finished up the time crystal production expansion, and today the plan is to move on to nuclear pasta. But first, the trains have broken again, because of course they have. And so now it is time to try to fix that before anything catastrophic happens, like a power grid failure, because some of our power grid is related to the train network. So this all is normal so far. We just need to find, there's going to be some train like in an intersection or something, and that is going to be the source of the problem. So we're just going to have to keep following this until we get there. And it looks like... Okay, it looks like these two trains are stuck. So where are they going and why can't they get there? You are going to Quartz Hub, which is going to be in here somewhere. And you, I assume, are also going to be going in there somewhere. Also going to Quartz. Okay. Interesting. So, let's see here. If we follow down this way, the Quartz is there. And those guys are stuck because this one is waiting. And you seem to be waiting behind this train, who is in the intersection, by the way. That's not what we want. And you are waiting to go this way, probably. So it's probably just all a deadlock caused by these guys. Okay, wait. So this guy is also going to the Quartz distributor. So it seems like all of the problem is caused by Quartz trains. So yeah, this guy is stuck there. This one is in the station, but can't leave because of you. Okay, so first step is if we just pop a signal there, then that will at least get some extra space out here, which is otherwise not being used. So that hopefully not quite enough there, but if we put that a little bit further forwards, like up here, then you should be able to squeeze all the way up to there. And now, I mean, that's a bit of an improvement, right? Because now another train can go in here. Unfortunately, we don't need another train to go in there at the moment. We need another train to go in there. So you are stuck. So you're just heading out, and that should be just going over this way. So why aren't you? Why are you still in here? If we turn that off and back on, no, nothing happens. All right. So you have a path signal here, and you want to be going out this way, right? So that's a block signal, and then it should fit into this area. I don't understand why it's not doing that. I guess if it wants to go this way. So if it wants to go this way, then this is a path signal here, which is needed because of this. I don't know what that random switch controller is doing there. Okay, so I think maybe what we do is if we just make this area zigzag a bit so that it can be long enough to fit a train in. I don't know, maybe? So we're going to need a bit of space out here, and I could have used a blueprint for this, but it's fine. So you need to go up like this, and then you need to go up like this, and then that connects across. So now we get a block signal there, a block signal there, and this segment there gets cut. And is that long enough? Not even close. Not even a little bit close. Okay, so first of all, that block signal needs to go out. And I don't know why I placed a block signal there. That's also definitely not what I want. Okay, so in the short term, obviously, that gets the train going through, which is nice. But now you're waiting in an intersection, which is very much not nice. So we need a path signal there. And that's going to be looping into itself because it's too far forward. So the path signal has to be a bit further back. So I guess for now, let's get the path signal there. And we've somehow managed to break these signals all the way down here. I'm not sure how I've managed that. Conflicting entry signal types. So that's path, that's path. Is this not path? Okay. Cool. I don't know how I've managed to not fix that mistake before now, but whatever. So now all that goes through, and things are working in here, at least temporarily. So then we just need to continue with this thing here. So we chop this out, and we need to make it curve even more sharply. So like, how about all the way out to here? And then all the way back to there. So then we get the path signal in, and hopefully that will then be enough space in here. You start making just the most ridiculous looking train setups in order to get this to work. But hopefully that's that. There are a lot of trains moving about now, which is a very good sign. Including all these quartz trains making their way out. So there we go. And it's just going to be a little bit before all this happens. Okay, yeah, those two trains are safe to both run through the intersection at the same time. That's good. And as always happens when you have big deadlocks like this, the train system is going to be a bit more congested immediately after it because of all the trains having to run to catch up with what they were doing. Okay, now let's see if this is long enough, and it is. So that train is able to fit fully within this block, which means that that problem is solved. So there we go. And now we just watch the trains move, And we might have to independently fix some other areas. Although they might just be slowly trickling through. And they probably are. It just takes a little bit for the fix to trickle through because there's so many trains that have to get out of the way beforehand. But it should be fine now, probably. So all that is running. And that's fine. Okay, it's actually been a while since I've checked power, I think. So let's go and have a look at that. Just here's a random power pole. Oh boy. That is not good. That is production barely above max consumption. Obviously we've got plenty of room before actual consumption, but still that seems like something has gone catastrophically wrong. So let's head back to the hub, which is just over here, and then we're gonna pop over to the power plant real quick because it feels like something's gone wrong with that. Maybe it hasn't, and it's just all the extra stuff we've added for the time crystal production. But it feels like something must have gone wrong with our power plants for this to happen. So off we go. And it's pretty worrying because like we have a lot of power intensive stuff left to go. And if it's going to look like this, then that is not good. Okay, so let's go investigate. And off we go. Just flying over the whole factory. And yeah, we can see the trains have more or less cleared up by this point. So nothing to worry about there. And we just need to drop down to here. So this, I believe this is probably the plutonium power rod. Yeah, so here we go. These guys are at 93% because of a lack of encased plutonium cells. A problem which we've had many times in the past, unfortunately. So let's drop down to see what's up with that. So not enough plutonium pellets. And we just have to keep tracing this backwards. Oh, hey, look, it's raining. Yeah, that's a thing they added in the new update, isn't it? Weather and such. Pretty neat. Okay, so over here, we've got 98%, and uranium waste is actually a little bit short. That's surprising. So, the number of uranium waste here, 62.5 each across 4. 62.5 times 4 is 250. We have 270 going in on this belt, and that is good all the way up to there. And those are Mark III belts, and those are Mark II belts, so yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine on the uranium waste supply. So I wonder if there's a problem back in the uranium factory that's causing there to not be enough production from those ones. So let's go. I believe that's this line of machines down there. So let's pop down and investigate these guys, see what they are up to. 100%. And do any of these guys look different? They all look like 100%, at least from here. And if we just keep checking every couple, then yeah, it looks like this is all going properly. There's no like weird problem over on one half of these, which would be really surprising if there were, considering how long this has been running, but still good to check. Alright, so if that's the case, then any potential waste shortage might be in the, what's it called? It might be in the actual power production itself. So if the reactors aren't taking all of the fuel rods, then that could be a thing that's happening. Okay, so now we're over here. And I'm seeing 100% in all of these. Okay, I don't know what the problem is then. Oh wait, no, this one is 96%. Because it's not getting enough fuel. But we just checked the machines and they were all at 100%. And yet this one is not. Very, very interesting. It looks like most of these guys are like that. So the water supply isn't the problem. It is the actual fuel supply itself, which I don't understand because that should be completely cleared. Now what I can do to fix this is something which I kind of wanted to do anyways, which was grab some of the excess waste here and just shove it onto the belt. So yeah, this is showing 980. I believe it should be showing exactly 1,000. So we are somehow a little bit short on nuclear waste. Okay, so let's just... How do we even do this? So this storage facility, the waste filters all the way up through over to here is its final destination. So what we can do is if we bring that wall up to there, and then we can take the resources out of this storage and just use them. So let's just connect these up. And let's see here. How do we want this to work? Probably just like a bunch of priority mergers, which are going to drain... Which side actually gets priority? Does this go all the way through and fill up the last possible one? Yeah, so this goes all the way through, so this one is basically the first priority to be filled, so we want it to be the last priority to be drained, I think. So we have all of these, which are going to be set like this. And they all connect up. And there we go. And those settings did get saved properly. Very cool. So now we just have to get all of these guys attached out like this. And then connect them all up in a chain like this. And all of this goes through. And now we have this output here, which we can run over this way. And we can just merge it into this. So this goes over to here, and I probably, honestly, should have just done this to begin with. I don't know why I didn't. Okay, so we need to take that conveyor lift out. And my apologies to the factory, which is going to be broken temporarily. And then this connects down to there. And that goes in. And so this should provide us a good, solid 1,200 a minute, which is even more than we need it to be. So the resources all fill into here, and then they should... Wait, no, did I get this backwards? Yes, I did get these settings backwards. So we actually wanted it to be like this, so that we can prioritize draining the first couple, so that the ones we're draining and the ones we're filling are different, and we don't have all of this just sort of filtering through for no reason. So we have that, and oh, I have some in my inventory. That's not good. That's not good. Yeah, okay. I ran out of filters because I was not paying attention. Whoopsies. Alright, well.
Disappointing, but unsurprising.
Yes, thank you, Ada. Okay, so let's get iodine-infused filters, and let's just grab 100 of them. And that should continue lasting us for a good long while. And then we just hop back over to here and continue to investigate that. So now we should have plenty of uranium waste. And that should all be filling out now. There we go. That's looking good. Alright. I'm just seeing a whole lot of yellow lights in here now. So let's see if I can figure out what's causing them. Actually, is this even the same factory? Or is this a different factory? Yeah, this is the thermal propulsion rocket factory, which I don't really care about. I guess we should probably fix it at some point, because I think we need those for something, like the ballistic warp drives or something, but not exactly super worried about it. Okay, so now our uranium input to the plutonium side of things is going to be all fixed. And yeah. Alright, so uranium input to the plutonium side of things should be perfectly good now. And we should see that over here. And you should be getting up to above 25, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. Yep. So that is all that. This is definitely filling up fast enough now. So that's all good. Should be at least a moderate power boost. But we need to figure out what is causing this to not work properly. So the splitting of the uranium fuel rods is apparently wrong, because these are all still at 100%, and yet The fuel rod output isn't. Okay, so let's get a... where is it? Throughput monitor on here, just to make sure I'm not going crazy. And this should be 1.25 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright. 1.25 times 16 is 20. So this should be 20 per minute. And it's currently not showing that, but it's very spiky. Which, actually, do we want to just fix that spikiness? That could help. Alright, yeah, let's fix the spikiness. So we take that out, and we are going to speed limit this. So we get... now we're going to be losing some. That's annoying, but fine. So we get you to go through to here. I'm still on jetpack. Let's swap to hoverpack. So you get 60. Wait, no, we need a merger for this first. So priority merger. Get 60 in, 60 out, and then 40 of that loops back, and 20 goes forwards. So now this should be exactly correct, and I have 2 of these in my inventory. Let's get rid of those before we have a repeat of what happened last time. So now this should be exactly 20 per minute. And it might take a tiny bit to warm up to that, but it should be there. And that should be nice and stable even through the waves incoming. Yeah, these come in big blocks, but now we should be balancing them out to go at a steady rate, which should be helpful. And it looks like it is balancing around 20. So now we need to head over to here and see if the splitting is somehow messed up. So this first one obviously has extra stuff on the belts just because it was getting too many to begin with, but that's not suspicious. Although, I guess it is a little suspicious that some of these have filtered back a little bit. So let's look at the splitting here. We have you split into... sorry about that sneeze. So that's 10 and 10. That's 5 and 5. And so each of these 5s are split down to 1, which then gets split into again. Hang on, wait. So we have 20 coming in here. So that goes down to 10. That splits again, so that this is 5. And then this 5 goes... Yeah, so this is correct, I think. Now let's just see if the weird balancing is happening anywhere else. No, so these all look normal. Let's check over here, because maybe it's fixed itself. Maybe it was just some weird problem with, like, a train supplying or something being missing. Okay, yeah, that must be it. So this is back up to 999. So I think we're all good. And this belt should be oversaturated. So we shouldn't have to worry about uranium waste going through anymore. And instead we should see this is slowly trickling down. And when I say slowly, boy is it slow. But eventually that'll get there. So that's all we needed to see for that. Now I guess if we like summer slooped, if we got a whole bunch of summer sloops and slooped the entire like plutonium power rod production thing, then we could do something clever with that. I don't really want to do that though. So let's check this thermal propulsion rocket thing. So we are not getting all clad aluminum sheets, and it seems like we're never getting them. So those should be coming in from this belt. Let's follow it back to here. This isn't getting any aluminum ingots, which should be on this belt. Which let's follow back to here. And, okay, so this whole thing just isn't getting aluminum ingots. I wonder why that is. Because I'm pretty sure we have enough aluminum elsewhere in the factory. So I don't know why that's an issue for you specifically. Let's fly up and check. Maybe there's something weird going on. Or maybe we just need to investigate some things better. So we have oil, we have aluminum, we've got nitrogen. The aluminum is very much not doing what I need it to do. So where is the train? It should hopefully be running somewhere, right? Okay, here it is. Thermal propulsion rockets, aluminum. Are you a full train? Are you a full train? No, you're hardly getting anything. Like less than half of a train's worth out of you. So that is strange. So you go to aluminum output 2, which I thought was the one that should have enough aluminum. So we might have to investigate. Our aluminum supply might have also broken. And gosh, remember when I thought this would just be a quick fix and then we'd be into upgrading nuclear pasta? Those were the good old days. Okay, let's ride this train back to the aluminum production and see what happens. Just figure out what's going on there. So basically there are two possibilities. Possibility 1 is that it's running at full speed and it just isn't producing enough. Probability 2 is that it's not running at full speed and it's broken somehow. Either one of those we want to know about. Also, this is... Okay, it did eventually get moving. Just took a little bit. The traffic here still isn't great. So if we check the map, traffic here is still pretty dang bad. And we have to get like all the way through this entire thing. So that's probably not helping the fact that the trip is so insanely long. Although it shouldn't be that bad. So that over there is aluminum output 1, which I believe this train is not going to. So this just goes through all this. And we're going to be going all the way across to the other aluminum output. So let's figure out... I don't even know where that is anymore. I've forgotten. I know it's over to the west somewhere. I can't remember if it's southwest or more south. Okay, we are still just stuck in traffic. Could be worse, but it's still pretty bad. Yeah, traffic is not going great here. And we have some express lines up above, which are helping a little bit. But maybe, I think we almost certainly need to add more onto the top level based on the fact that the traffic on the bottom level is getting bad again. And that is going to be a bit of a nuisance. But that will probably be a job for another day. We're just trying to put that off unless it's actually the active problem that we're looking at here. Which, because this train didn't deliver a full cargo, it isn't. That's not the problem we currently have. Although, to be fair, it might be part of it. If other trains are getting way higher priority on the aluminum because they're closer, that could be part of it. Although, I don't mind this not having the greatest priority on aluminum. But, gosh, this is awful. Like, walking would be so much faster than this. Like, walking would be like 1,000 times faster than this. We'd probably be there by now if I had walked. So, yeah, we're definitely going to want to move more things up to the top level. And I wonder what that will be. So, it could just be all the aluminum goes to the top level. And I'm pretty sure we already have bauxite up there, right? So, adding aluminum as well wouldn't be crazy. Alright, we just keep going. Okay, now we are getting some movement. I see a relatively clear track ahead of us if we can get through this intersection of doom. Which might be the hard part. This intersection is probably like a major source of all the issues, if I had to guess. Alright, so the trains all go through. And then that one goes. And hopefully we should be up soon. Alright, so that one is through, and yeah, now this train is going. So, which way are we turning at the intersection? We are going straight forwards, right through, all the way off to the west. Alright, that's good. So now we're in clear, open track, so this portion should be quite fast. Although we have to slow down again. Not sure why. Right, just keep on training. And yeah, I think we've been in this train for like 10 minutes by this point, which is pretty awful. But at least we're making good tracks on this side. Get it? Tracks, because we're in a train. So this side of the factory is a lot less messed up than the eastern side, although now we're stuck waiting for something. I don't know what. Actually, that might be where we're headed, just across there. So let's see what happens there. I'm pretty sure that might be... Yeah, so that over there, you can see the train stops. That is the aluminum 2 output area. So now let's just walk the rest of the way, because I don't want to be sitting in that intersection forever either. And now we are here. So, what is going on with the aluminum output? Are we getting enough through? So we're getting like 1,200 a minute out per lane. The problem is that the trains just show up so regularly that none of them are filling to any meaningful degree, which means they continue to regularly show up and just sort of get caught in a time loop, basically. Okay, so let's tell you maybe do that so that you will wait a little bit longer to be filled up before you move on. And same thing with fixite aluminum, I think. No, let me in the train, dang it. I want to get up to there. Okay, so you edit timetable, aluminum output 2 until fully loaded. Okay, so hopefully that will get them to at least run full cargoes, which, I don't know, hopefully makes a difference. Alright, so now this one is finally filling up, and it is going to get a full cargo, hopefully, or at least a lot closer to it. No, it got the same amount, so it just didn't respect my change at all. Very cool. Thank you for that. Okay, so then we are also like a little bit short of 1,200 on all of these. And why is that? See some yellows over here. So you can't get enough petroleum coke out. So if we go forwards to this, 100%. Not enough alumina solution, apparently. Okay, let's just not worry about this. The aluminum stuff is a nightmare, and it's relatively close. So we will call relatively close good enough. Although this last one is not very close. It's all the way down to 1,000 something. Whereas the rest of these are all up at like 1,200. Alright, so that's definitely a slight issue, but there's not much that we can do about it. And it looks like it is just like a coincidence of all the trains showing up simultaneously. So now we're having plenty of time for the nuclear pasta aluminum to show up. And nuclear pasta is actually where we're going next, so that's convenient. And this one should be receiving enough aluminum. If not a full cargo, then very, very close to one. And that is fine by me. So there you go. You get all filled up. And off you go. That's like 3/4 of a cargo, which is pretty good, I guess. Okay, so now we have fixite aluminum, and this is one of the ones which I upgraded to either wait for 15 seconds or get a full cargo. So let's see if you actually wait for any amount of time. Okay, so that is all going through. And no, you just instantly load. Exactly like I requested you to not do. Aluminum output 2. And yeah, I don't know what's wrong with that. I don't know why you don't want to cooperate, but I guess you can just be stuck like that now. And we have even more aluminum demand coming in constantly. It's just never ending. It's just never ending with these guys. So it's basically just a question of how much of the trains we can load up in the gaps between the trains showing up. So I don't know, maybe wait for 15 seconds isn't long enough, and like if we set it longer, then it'll do something. I don't know though. Doesn't seem likely. Okay, so let's head over here to the fixite. Why are you not syncing things? What? Huh? What? Why? Oh, right, I remember now. I set those to standby on purpose because I think we were wasting aluminum otherwise. Right, because these two don't need to run. Right, okay. We're fine. Everything is fine. Nothing to see here. Yeah, I intentionally turned those ones off. I remember now. No problem. Alright, so now fixite aluminum is coming back again. And this time for sure... Well, okay, it'll take another loop. But if we do and I think we got those in before it stopped. So yes, so now it's just waiting here. And it is just waiting to get a full cargo before it leaves. And hopefully that will prevent the trains from constantly showing up. And it'll at least help us, like, if there is actually not enough aluminum, it's not just weird train nonsense, then this will help us find out. And it'll mean that the trains spend less time loading and unloading, which should be helpful. Now let's head over to this and actually see. So this is the fixite aluminum, and it does not have much aluminum at all. So it's kind of extremely low on that. And now the plutonium is back. Okay, so this is finally loading though, so that's going to be good. And now all of these have their excesses to fill back in. And you got full-ish cargo, so that that should help. Now plutonium shows up, and it is going to... I guess we should also set all of these to do that. Fully loaded or unloaded, and wait for 1 second, I guess. So that will have to happen on its next trip around. But in theory, there should always be enough, and they should never have to wait. But I think in practice, that isn't necessarily going to happen. Also, it looks like we have too many bauxite trains piled up here. Yeah, it looks like it's going fine. Or at least close to fine. So that's all good. There goes that train. And now this has some time to load up for the next one. Okay. So we're just babysitting the aluminum right now. And is this... So this definitely just... This one station just isn't fast enough to deal with all these trains incoming constantly. Are these bringing... Yeah, they are bringing full loads, but they're also leaving mostly empty, it looks like. Or mostly full. So, that isn't ideal. And there's not really much that we can do about that from here. It's just, I guess we could add more bauxite processing, but that is something which I absolutely do not want to do. So, you know. So now this is getting up to like 3 rows, and neural quantum processors are showing up to get their aluminum. And let's get this set up. There we go. So those settings went in before it started docking, so they should apply. And it shouldn't have to wait for very long. It should just be a little bit. And the superposition aluminum is here too. So let's give you the new settings. Oh, you already had them. Oh wait, no, I clicked on the wrong one. There we go. So that is all going now. And we're going to have some pretty hefty delays on these guys, I think. And we might need to... In fact, we probably are going to need to give all of these trains their own separate queue to wait in, if they're just going to be piling up like this, because they are preventing the bauxite trains and the oil trains from getting in at this point. So there we go, that's that one gone, which means that this one can go through and then allow the bauxite supply in. But ultimately, I think we are somehow just short on aluminum. And it's got to be, like, it's probably not just like a minor shortage, too. It's probably big enough to, like, need an expansion as opposed to just fixing it up. Now, how many machines are there in here? There's a whole lot of them. Yeah, there's just so many machines in here that summer slooping them is completely laughable. There's no way that that's ever happening. Okay, so we're gonna have to add increase aluminum supply onto the list of things which we do. And hopefully the bauxite will be enough to do that, because we do need a lot of bauxite for aluminum. But I think for now, like, it's probably mostly fine. So what we want to do is get that extra train space in. So let's go all the way back here and get a railway out. And then we just zoop, get space to place it. So this comes all the way out around this way, and it's going to have plenty of space to all just line up and go in. So this goes all the way over to here. And we need to either get up over all of these or send these 3 belts down. I think it's going to be easier to just have this go up a tiny bit. Alright, so we get a wall there. Then we get a little bit of foundation there. Now this goes up onto this level. And just does something like that. And then it curves around this way. And then it loops back down, if I could see the thing to snap it into. Alright, and now we disconnect that. And so now this is the primary path for trains to take when accessing the aluminum supply. And we're just going to pop the occasional block signal onto here so that they can properly line up. I have no idea if these signals are long enough to fit the trains in, but I guess that will be something which we find out. Alright, so that should hopefully be plenty of space in there. So that should be good to go. And yeah, these trains are way longer than those signals are, but it's probably fine. So that is going. They're not lining up too crazily. We just have a couple in a row. Okay, was one of these guys nuclear pasta aluminum? What are you? You're fixite aluminum. Yep, and you are still filling up, and now you're ready to go. At least some of these blocks are ready to go now. Okay, so now we've got all of these guys lined up, and they seem to be doing fine. That's a bit creative on your end. I'm not sure why they allowed you to do that, but that's fine, I guess. Can we just move this block signal back a little bit? Although I guess if it works, right? If it works, it works. Alright, so there goes another full train. And it's all just working. And that's fine. This one's up to 1200. So yeah, it could be worse. It could be so much worse. It's not like there's infinity trains which visit here, although there are quite a lot. And one of them is the plutonium aluminum supply, which is apparently not happy. I don't like that. I don't like that train visiting here often, because if it gets stuck in a queue, then power might be a concern. Alright, we've gained We've gained like 100k megawatts of power production. We were down at like 500,000 previously. Now we're up to like 600,000. So that is good. And we have fixed that power distribution problem. And it's a pretty significant boost, honestly. So now, I guess we can finally move past this whole aluminum thing, although it's going to be temporary. So actually, do we move past the aluminum, or do we just work on actually expanding it? So what would actually expanding it take? We add another row, we add another floor down here, and we wouldn't be able to fully double production because we need some of the excess belt speed in order to keep up with train loading delays. But we could probably get up to like 2,000 a station, potentially, if we had the bauxite for it. Now, do we have the bauxite for it is the other major question. And the third major question is, I guess, where do we build all the stuff? So we build it down there. It should be able to go up just over that way like it does currently. The bauxite supply is incredibly dubious. So, currently, these train stations are almost empty of bauxite. And the buffers at least have plenty. And it looks like the bauxite trains are actually stuck. Okay, so this train is caught in the intersection, which it should never be allowed to do. So that's definitely not good. So you just go somewhere, do something. Okay, don't crash though, don't crash though. Okay, so you're trying to get straight across that way. So you are the one who we need to manually drive. So you need to curve around into there and turn on self-driving, and you can just go. And then we can get this one set up as well. So off you go. Okay, so that's that fixed. Now, why did that happen? So you entered this intersection because you thought you could get through there. All of these are path signals, so that shouldn't have happened. Maybe we just need to remove these two path signals and make this entire thing effectively one singular intersection. That would probably help, although it might slow things down a little bit. He might, they might have to wait a little bit longer, but it should be a fix. Okay, so, right, bauxite supply. How much bauxite does this use versus how much do we have available? So this is back up to full capacity, and it's just going now. So we drop down to here, and each of these is 300. 300, 600, 900, 1200, 2400, 3600, 4800. So that is 6,000 bauxite, which is to be expected. It's a 1-to-1. And these are max overclocked, right? So it's not like we can... Okay, no, they're not max overclocked. So we can potentially do some summer slooping stuff if necessary, but I'd rather we not, because I'm sort of relying super heavily on summer sloops in a bunch of places anyways. Okay, so do we need another train station? Hopefully not. Hopefully the one train station is enough if we can just get full speed loading through it at all times. And we're probably going to need even more aluminum for future projects too, so this does make sense. Like, we're expanding the nuclear pasta, which I believe takes aluminum, and we're doing all sorts of other stuff. So yeah, so we have 6,000 bauxite input there. Now let's hide those, hide the trains, keep showing the resources, and okay, so the only thing showing our resources, and then actually let's just, can we just hide like everything but bauxite? Or no. So clicking on that doesn't do anything. So how much bauxite is there? There is 1,200, 2,100 there. There's another 900 there, so we're up to 3,000. That's another 1,200. So that's another 2,400. So up to 5,400 claimed. We have another couple thousand there. So in already claimed bauxite, we have a couple thousand to spare, I think. Although some of that is going over to the old bauxite factory, which I don't actually know how much that's doing. So this is definitely doing 6,000. I don't know how much the old bauxite factory is doing. But I had observed before that, like, this was consistently overfilling by a lot. So, like, it should probably be fine to expand this even more. Now, do we want to expand it by just making another one of these, or do we want to redesign it? And I kind of want to redesign it again because this one is imperfect and has issues. So let's go down 10, over a bit, and then start making foundation layers. So what I want to do is have a setup which is compact and self-contained, and then just place a bunch of those. So like the version I have right now, all 6,000, all the water involved in the entire setup is interconnected in this really annoying and awful way, which I would really rather it not be. So instead, we are going to be redoing it so that it's not like that. So we have refinery. So let's see. First we need to do the petroleum coke stuff, which is not the problem at all, right? So when we're thinking about this, the petroleum coke stuff is relatively free. It's these loops in here which matter, between the sloppy alumina alt and the electrode scrap alt. So let's drop down to here and start figuring that out again. So we have sloppy alumina, and then you go forward to electrode scrap. this does 240 alumina per minute. This takes 180. So, if we were to overclock you a bit to probably that? No, probably just 400 then. Yes. So, the alumina solution goes straight forwards. We have 140 water left over. And so this then needs the 140 water from there plus an extra 60 water of input. And if we just have a second refinery that you just go to, what do you need to be, 75 maybe? Okay, so what I'm thinking is we just have like these two refineries make the alumina solution, one of which is recycled, the other of which isn't. And then we just combine those two up into this, and then it just works. Now let's actually... So this is as fast as it can go, 750, but that's kind of an inconvenient number, right? So 600 is two of these together make one belt. So this is like a very convenient number to work with. So this needs 360 alumina solution and outputs 210 water. So if you take 210 over 200 times 100. So you take the 210 recycled water from this, and then you need to provide the extra. So this produces 252 aluminum solution. So you need to produce 108 aluminum solution. Okay. So this setup works, and the only thing is that we can actually make this more efficient in terms of like the relative numbers. So if we get a second one of you in, also at 600. Okay, but now we run into alumina solution supply problems because this is going to be 720. So then we would have 420 water output, and you could do 420 over 200 times 100. So you could do all of the recycled water solution from that, while you would then need to provide, I think, just that. So 216 plus 504 is 720. And then there's just the question of like, how do we get these to connect across without breaking? So because the total amount is above 720, we need it to all split through a singular junction, so we don't really have enough space here, but we could easily gain more. So if we were to do something like that, then the only point where 720 is flowing is the junction, which is fine with that. And so this gives us like a relatively convenient set. Now, the aluminum scrap output is 1200 each. The bauxite input here is 600 total. And it is split a little funny, but it should be fine. Yeah, this should be fine. Let's get a blueprint designer down, and we are apparently going to need to find some open space for this. Alright. So, we have some open space over here where we should be able to fit a blueprint designer in. Although we're going to need a whole lot of extra space to fit the actual designer because they're big. So that should be plenty. Now we get a Blueprint Designer Mark III, which... and even there, it's too tall. Okay, that's annoying, but whatever. Okay, so... we are going to need to find even more empty space than that, which... okay, wait, we have a Blueprint Designer up here. But this is a smaller blueprint designer, so we're going to have to expand this area a bit. So just add a couple of rows onto that. Take down the Designer Mark II. Pop in a Designer Mark III. Okay, so what we want to do is ideally fit all of this refinery stuff in one blueprint. And we also need power poles over there so that we can hover. Okay, so we start off with a refinery back here. And is that... so this is going to be sloppy alumina. Wait, no, this is electrode scrap. So we have our solid outputs and our fluid outputs both fit in here just by doing something like this. Alright, so we've got that going for us. Then we get... can we fit 2 full rows in here? No. Okay, so we're going to have to get a little bit clever with the spacing of all this. So let's actually take that out. Just we need to mess around with the spacing a bit. So if we get like 2 of them facing that way, and then 2 refineries facing that way. So those are the electrode scraps. These are the sloppy alumina. Does this give us the space to do everything we need? So the scrap would merge up and go out this way. Obviously, like that. So that's step 1. Then the water would go across into one of these machines. So you would go across to there and connect up to here. And then it would be just something like this. So this is the machine which would be relying on the recycled water. So let's get these up to the numbers. So you are up to 600. And you... wait, what on earth? Okay, somehow I've managed to just paste sloppy alumina instead of ever doing this, which is what I wanted to do. So we copy you, we paste you into that. So now both of these are doing that. So we have 420 water going out. So then this one is going to be set to... what is it? That? Yes. So 210%. So that takes all of that excess water and does that with it. The bauxite goes out that way. We need then the petroleum coke to come in here. So this is the alumina solution output. And so I think this whole thing can be more centralized. So I don't think we need to be right up next to the edge of the blueprint like this. So I think we need some space on both sides. So we do something like that. And like that. And then these ones also go in to there and to there. So we should have saved our settings across all these guys, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so now we have more space to do belt things. So let's take all this random junk out. We do not want that in the blueprint. And there we go. So we start by combining these two up, and I wonder actually if it will be possible to get like fully chained outputs to here. So you need to get bauxite in, you need to get aluminum scrap out on this side. So we need a row of mergers for the scrap. We need a row of splitters for the bauxite. And these aren't going to be even like this. These are going to be 720 minus 504 here. 720 minus 504. And we can reclaim those power shards. Okay, so we're going to need to deal with that uneven bauxite input. But let's see. So we have the bauxite input here, which is going to need to be balanced in a particular way. So how much bauxite? It's 600 bauxite in here, which is actually should be trivial to speed balance actually. If we can then figure out the 180 and 420. So 600 divided by 180 is 3 1/3. So what does that mean? It means that 180 times 10 divided by 3 is 600. Okay, I think the 120 plus 60 is going to be a better way of getting this. So you need a merger going into you, just like that. So you have a merger going into you, and then you have a splitter, which is going to be 120 plus 60. And so that should balance you down to 180. And then, do we need even more room on this side? Yeah, we unfortunately do. So let's figure out actually how much room we need on this side. So this only has alumina solution going out, and that's just going to go across to here. And this has the alumina solution going in, and then the petroleum coke, which is 120 each, so that can just be speed limited. So what we can actually do is we can actually crunch this up on this side. Let's copy those settings, and then get them all the way down to there, and then paste those settings back. Okay, so now let's see if we have the space for this. So now you get a conveyor merger, you get your Mark III belt, you get all of this splitting technology in here. So that's 120 plus 60. Very good. So now you get a smart splitter with right any center overflow, or does that? No, that needs to be forwards any, because we just need to think of where the belt feeding this is going to be coming from. What on earth was going on with that? So you are center any left overflow, which is going to bring 420 bauxite into that. And then we need a splitter there, a smart splitter there, and a priority merger there. So then we send 1200 down this way, and half of it goes forward, so that will be 600. The other half is going to merge back up into this, and that will be 600 bauxite in this speed limited setup. Now we need to copy you, and we just need to move all of these into the right location. So you're set up like that, and then this belt there goes all the way back to there. And then we have these electrode scraps. Okay, so we need these to be... Are these two identical to each other? Yes, they are. So we can just... This should be... We should still have plenty of space to have all these lined up properly. So those two go there. Then we have the electrode scrap output. Looks like the aluminum stuff is all waiting for a very long time, but that's why we're trying to fix this. Okay, so now we need the electrode scrap to maybe go up a tick to just get over all of this stuff. That seems like the easiest solution, honestly. So you go up to there. You go up to there. Then we take those out. And up you go. And then across. And this is already... Wait, no, this is already 1200, so this actually doesn't need to go out at all. And actually, now I'm thinking about this. This is going to be 600 bauxite input, right? So having this be speed limited like this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we're only going to be able to fit two of them in a row anyways. So instead, let me think here. We just have this be delivering 600, and we take this stuff out, and we just have this just be regular old load balanced to get the 600 in. Then that happens and it's fine. Then these two merge up just to here. The fact that the inputs and the outputs are on the exact same side of this is a bit weird. So I guess what we can do is we can have the bauxite coming in from the ceiling, just directly down into this, more or less. And then we can have these go forwards into the scrap smelters. Yeah, that should work. That shouldn't be an issue. Okay. So, now we need the pipelines. So the pipelines go like that. And all the way over to there. And then these all connect up. And then they go down and into there. If I can get them facing the right way. Alright, so that is the recycled water check. So recycled water all set up. So just this side needs its fresh water input. So I guess we'll just bring that out so that we remember it. So in order to get this side to work, we put bauxite in there, water in there, and scrap smelting out there. So now we just have to get this side fixed up. So we have 720 alumina solution going in to 2 of these guys. So, how do we do this? We need... Is it just me, or did the hotbar icon for the pipeline junction change in the update? It's kind of weird. Okay, so we need you... Okay, this is going to be kind of complicated. So first of all, the petroleum coke. We just split into these 2, and then it'll just be fine however it works out, because they're Mark IIs, like that. Then we need to get all of this stuff through. So, what we need is for these 2 to both go in there. I don't know why I used some random mode there. No, that's too far forward. So we need to get access to all 4 sides of the junction for this to work. So that goes out to there, and that goes into there. Alright, so we should be all set with that. And it looks like our number of aluminum supplies... The number of trains waiting for aluminum in here is definitely increasing at a somewhat uncomfortable rate. Which is definitely proof that we don't have enough aluminum production. And we need to fix that. So... Now this side, the only thing we have to do is just put 240 petroleum coke in here. Okay, so let's save this. It's 600 bauxite, 180 water, 240 petroleum coke. So this is aluminum to... Let's call this bauxite to scrap. So this is 600 bauxite, 180 water, and 240 petroleum coke to 1200 aluminum scrap. Save blueprint, clear designer, dismantle that. Okay, now is all this even still working? How do we still have bauxite supplies to do all this? And we also still have crude oil. Okay, so it isn't running at all now. So this train here has just gotten stuck. So you are just stuck docking. Despite the fact that none of this stuff is working properly. Okay. So let's cancel your docking and get you moving. And and see what happened. So that was full. All of these were full except for like one gap in one place. I don't know what happened there, but at least for now we have a backlog of aluminum to fill up these trains. So that's something, I guess. Yeah, I think setting them to wait until they're completely full does not necessarily work. Like, I think it sometimes causes weird glitches where it just never leaves the station. I don't know why it does that, but sometimes it does. Alright, anyway, so now we have our new blueprint. Do we actually have a petroleum coke blueprint that does the right number for this? No, we have 3, and I have no idea what numbers any of them do. So let's get you in there. So how much petroleum coke are you? You are going to be 96 times 2. And all of these are... Alright, so if we just set all these up to 100%... So all these go up to 100%. Does that just fix it? So we have 80 heavy oil residue, which gets converted to 120 to 240 petroleum coke, and 40 polymer resin, which we are going to merge up and do something with, presumably, if not just sink it. So yeah, this is a good blueprint for us. So this... Actually, do we even need to... We can just, like... No, it will be easier to save this. So let's just save this as petroleum coke. And we are just going to overwrite that last one, because this is just the same thing, but very slightly different. So then we can dismantle that. And I know we have a blueprint to do scrap. And boy, do I wish these guys were labeled. Oh wait, they're probably called aluminum ingots or something. Aluminum ingot smelting. Let's see here. This probably does it. It's got Mark 6 belts in it. So yeah, let's just assume that that does that for a second. So now we take all of this stuff out because we don't need it. And then we just need to place some of our new production lines in. So, aluminum... Where is this? Bauxite to aluminum. Okay, so, well, this isn't... That isn't actually an accurate name for this, but whatever. So, you go in here. Wait, no, this is just a different blueprint, which is just named the same thing. We're looking for bauxite to scrap. Okay, so we have this. We can just pop you down. And... Okay, let's just get 2 of these in so that we can deal with a full 1200 bauxite. Might as well do that. And so you 2 line up like this, right? So we have that, and we have water in there, bauxite in there, petroleum coke in over this side. So over here we do petroleum coke. Oh, the game crashed. That's fun. Interesting. Well, I guess we are going to be restarting the game then, and now I wonder how much time we lost. Hopefully not too much. I guess it's not terribly surprising that there's a crash on the first day of a new update, but is certainly annoying because now you all get to see how long it takes to load the game. My world is very, very large, and therefore takes a very long time to open up. So we're going to be here for a bit. So hopefully that doesn't happen every time I try to place that blueprint. Hopefully that was just a weird fluke. So yeah, I guess we're just sitting here, waiting for this to load up. It's so slow. Alright, almost there. We have most of a frame loaded in. Alright, here we go. We're back, and our last autosave, we were staring at the petroleum coke blueprint. Okay, so this is fine. So we just go down here, and we upgraded all of these, right? Yes. So we just go down here, we call you petroleum coke, save that, overwrite the previous one, clear the designer. I have a lot of junk in my inventory. Okay, let's just do the same thing again and see if something happens differently this time. If not, then I don't know, we'll have to not use that blueprint or something, I guess, but it should be fine. Hopefully it was just a weird fluke. So we go bauxite to scrap. And actually, do I want this to be facing this way? So I need to have scrap... No, I want to have the scrap processing over that way, because that's where the other scrap processing is. So we pop that in. We apparently have a dismantle crate down here. I'm not sure how that wound up happening when we still do have 3 empty inventory spaces. But speaking of which, let's just clear out some of these guys. Just get out. Just get a good couple extra stacks of space. Some random ingots, and rubber, and plastic. And sand fluctuators we certainly don't need. Alright, let's stick with that for now. And alright, so we load in the petroleum coke here, and we throw out the scrap there and get the bauxite in there. Okay, let's build another foundation over there and just sort of expand that out a little bit. And petroleum coke blueprint. Okay, now which side is the input, which side is the output? This side looks like the output. Okay, so if this side is the output, then we need you to be lined up like that, and it places this time. Huzzah. Oh, it's a wonderful day. Alright, so we take this. Is this designed to be fast enough? Yes, it is. So that just goes straight across to there, no problem. Petroleum coke supplied. Now, we just need to put crude oil in here. And eventually a sink to get rid of the polymer resin out here. So yeah, let's get that sink placed. And this probably... We want this to be out here so that eventually we can stack this up. Wait, yeah, you're the polymer resin output. So you just go over to this, and let's get a merger in here just in case. Just in case we wind up needing it. And this is just like 40, so for now at least this will be fine. And this is left overflow center any. You get powered up. Oh, I didn't put power poles in my fancy new blueprint. Oh, wait, that's fine, though, because we can daisy chain now, right? I think we need a MAM research for it, but... Alright. I believe it was in Caterium research for the new update. So we need to grab quick wire and high-speed connectors. Quick wire, high-speed connectors, and then start research, and 3 seconds later, we have the brand new upgrade. Oh, okay, that lag spike was just an autosave. Nothing to worry about.
Buildings now support 2 power connections, any of which may be attached to other buildings.
Okay. So, we now have daisy chaining. That's pretty neat. So now you just connect up to a power pole and go up to anywhere. Just any machine now. That's great. I love that. Okay, so the only things left to do, crude oil in there, bauxite in there, water in there. All of those should be straightforwards. Oh, wait, no, we do need to get the scrap output in. So scrap... wait, no, it's called aluminum ingot smelting for some reason. Oh, and this also outputs in the same direction that it inputs. Very cool. Okay, so this goes out here. We just pop that down. Now, how much is this? 120, 240, 360, 480, 600. So this is 12... Oh, so this takes 2,400 and outputs 1,200. Okay. So that should be twice what we need for this. So let's just get in another... Let's just get in another one of these. And pop you in, like, just lined up like so. And that's that. And then we're going to need another one of the petroleum coke blueprints connected to it, which is facing this way, I think. And that is going to... Yeah, so it's going to involve some clipping with that, which I don't really care about. So then you connect into that. And now we just make that crude oil input pipe go across. And then... Okay, this is incredibly scuffed because this is over here. It's on the wrong side of the sink. That's fine. We just need to go around. Just need to go around the sink to get into the sink, which this is not how I would do it if I were doing this correctly, but here we are. You loop around like that, I guess. And now how much polymer resin is... So now it's going to be like 80 past here. So let's just make those super fast prematurely. And we can power you up. Oh, and yeah, so we can, again, just use daisy chaining to connect you up to that. So now this is all good. So if we put petroleum coke in there, and we put bauxite in there, and water in there, and there, then that should give us our scrap. And then we need to find... Why did I do that? Why did I do that? these are both filled up. I guess we can daisy chain. So through daisy chaining, many things are possible. So we just connect you up to that. And then we just daisy chain those across. And then connect them across to that. So now these are all set up. Oh, I did have an extra power pole back here. That's fine. Okay, so now we input these. So we get you come out this way and then go in there. And then you come out this way and go into there. And then this belt here should be an aluminum ingot output. Okay. So, step one is find some loose change bauxite lying around somewhere. And we've got all of these, which have seemingly plenty, and are only... These seem to only be limited by the output belts. So let's just yoink one of them, maybe two. So that goes up to there, and into that. And yeah, let's yoink like two of these to give up their spare bauxite. Actually, let's just do all of them. We're gonna probably want all of them pretty soon anyways, so we might as well do that from the start. And now we just have to hope that this is designed in such a way that we can actually put these lifts somewhere. So these connect across like that. Alright, now we drop down and we see what the situation is back here, and it's more or less clear. Okay, so this one here has got machines over it, but that's easily workaroundable. And then the rest of them should be pretty much straight shots down. Okay, let's start with... Actually, do we want to balance these maybe? I don't know. Because we're not going to be getting a full 1200 out of any of these. So let's start by just bringing these first couple out and just sort of looping around over to this way where there's free space. And then we can figure out what to do from here. So is this far enough off to there? Yes, it is. So you go down. I think that was the right spot. I might have drifted a bit too much. Yeah, I drifted a little bit off. So you're there. And you go down. And then this one goes down to there. And connects up. And let's just stick with these for now. So let's see, do we just count on each of these providing half a stack maybe? That would make it a lot more likely that it actually works. Yeah, let's see what happens if we do that. So what we want to do is just like merge these two up. Yeah, do we want to merge these two up to get full Mark 6? So we need to get over here where there's space. And then they are going to merge up there, and then immediately split, just an even split between the two halves. So you go there, and this one has to go over this, and then down, and then into there. Okay. So, the two belts come forwards up to here. Let's get that part in immediately. And then these guys come down. And you go in. You are going to go, I don't know, a little bit over this way maybe. And then hopefully that will be good spacing for you. A little bit more. Just like that ought to be plenty. And then you go into there. And so those two together should provide enough for all this. And now obviously we've got all this bauxite is filled up. So next step is to find some random crude oil lying about and shove it into here. We need 30, 60, so we need 120 crude oil. Shouldn't be at all difficult, unless we have like a system-wide crude oil shortage, which would be unfortunate, but I don't think we do. Okay, so here we have just all of this stuff doing something weird. Alright, some weird nonsense is going on with this crude oil. I don't know what I'm doing with this. But it looks like that's 600 a minute, so if the entire thing is like at most 600 a minute, right? Because that's all that is, then it should be trivial to just yoink another 600 down, like from these centralized ones. Alright, now we need space for this, so let's see if doing it like that works. And now we have to get underground to that pipe. And we need to find it. Here it is. Okay, let's get another floor pipe down there and just send you down and into that. And then you just connect into the crude oil supply. And that should start giving us our petroleum coke in a bit. So there we go. Polymer resin going out and heavy oil residue getting made. And so that will take some time to start up. And then we need 360 water. Oh, it also looks like the old aluminum setup is broken again. So let's fly up and fix that, because we don't want it to be stuck for too long. So, okay, no, it is still going, right? So this train here is filling, although now it isn't. Also, I've somehow managed to use like my entire inventory, which I guess I'm not going to complain about. Alright, so we need to edit you to be ore weight for 60 seconds. And then move on. And I think we just need to do that for all of these. Just set them so that they'll only wait for 60 seconds. Aluminum output to fully loaded or unloaded, or wait 60 seconds. So that should get all of these guys to work properly. And edit. Aluminum output 2. Or wait for 60 seconds. So hopefully that will work and get them all moving on after a certain amount of time. And you as well. Okay, that is probably good enough. Why does it feel like this train is longer than usual? Probably just hallucinating. Okay, so now we do the same thing for you. Oh, you were just always set that way. So I guess we'll give you the new settings then. There we go. And hopefully that'll just be all of them. Or at least the vast majority of them, and we won't have problems anymore. Okay. So with that set up, and we've given the heavy oil residue some time to cook. So the petroleum coke should be flowing now. And the only thing we are waiting on now is the water. So let's find the water. Is this whole thing... Is all of this water being pumped up? Or do we have a water tower? If we don't have a water tower, let's get a water tower. So that we can spare a bit of effort. Although, actually, I think when we first did this, we dramatically miscounted, and we have a ton of spare water pumped up here anyways. Right? That was a thing that happened, I think. So we've got all of these guys going forwards. And... no, it looks like they do... all connect up to things. Okay, so that is disappointing. I was looking forward to having just infinite spare water here. So we've got 3 pipes there and 2 pipes there. And all of these definitely seem to go into places. Okay, we'll just add another water pipe on. It's not that big of a deal, but we will water tower this, I think. So, industrial fluid buffer up there. And you get to be the one nominated to fill this up. And then we get this to go all the way around. And now we need this. We need this wall to be bigger so that we can fit another 2 pipes on it. I think at some point we had a blueprint for this, but I don't know where it is anymore. So we're just going to do it manually. Like, I don't know what it's called, so I don't know how to look for it, and I have 20 billion blueprints, so I'm never going to find it otherwise. Okay, so we have that, at least as a start. So now this pipe goes down onto that, as does this one. So we just bring these 2 pipes down, and down they go. And we just have to keep on bringing these. And this is going to be a bit of a trip, because unfortunately the water is very, very far away. And hopefully the water tower system works for this. It shouldn't have issues, but water being the way it is, just because there's no possible way that it could have problems, doesn't mean that it won't have problems. Sometimes it just decides to not cooperate. Okay, so let's get let's get these 2 pipes onto the foundation, which is gonna take a bit of twisting and wrestling with them. Alright, so there we go. Now I don't remember which is which, but one of them will have water in it, so it'll be easy to tell. So these just run along that way. And they just keep going. And they just keep going, and they just keep going. And we're almost there. We just have one more downhill section to go. And then we will be at the water. So this now gets to go down here. So we get another wall, and we start dragging it down. And this just has to get all the way down. And that'll be that. So let's see here. 360 water per 1200 is like not that terrible. We're going to have to import even more water though if we want to like double this. If we want to add even more than just this one basic setup. So that will be a little bit of extra work. But hopefully our aluminum production is close enough that it works out okay. And just this extra 1200 will completely fix the problem. Maybe that's a bit optimistic, but you never know. It could happen. So these just keep on going down. And here we are, just about at the right level. So now these pipes can come down to ground level and down to ground level. And then we get a water extractor or 2 in. Then these 2 connect up. And they connect up to a junction. And now this goes forwards. Okay, so this needs to go forwards a bit. And it needs... Okay, so it needs to have a valve on it, right? So something like that. And then that valve gets... Actually, we'll get this all connected in first. So that connects across. Please. Okay, no, that's too far apparently. So that connects in to there and then goes up to there. And then we'll wait for a second and then set the valve to 0. And now we should have water going up here. Oh wait, no, obviously we don't because we don't have these machines powered. So we can just daisy chain them. And that's 300 each. So this should be 600, which should be more than enough water to do everything we need it to do. And now we get to see if this whole head lift thing works. And we should know pretty quick because 600 a minute is a lot. And it's definitely going up. It is definitely going up, and it doesn't need to get up to the actual height of the water tower, so that should be fine. Okay, so now this pipe is just going, and it definitely has magical head lift. We're way too far for it to be any other explanation. So that just goes up, and now we need to just connect this water pipe in. We need to keep track of which one it is. And we just need to connect it in to our new aluminum production. And then it should work. Obviously, there's going to be a bit more delay while the rest of this water goes up. And it doesn't need to go all the way up to that level. It just needs to come over here somewhere. And let's get it in sort of this row here, which shouldn't be in the way even if we expand this way out in this direction. So this goes all the way out, and then we get a junction on you, and now we bring this pipe across. So we might have to lift this pipe up off the ground if we scale this up a lot. And let's actually start doing that from this point onwards. So this just goes across past all of these guys, and then we can connect it in to there and to there. And there we go. So that's water connected up. So while we wait for the water to show up, now we bring the aluminum out. So this needs to go up to here, and it looks like this entire thing is just completely broken. I don't know why that is, but hopefully it starts back up again. It looks like it is, so that's nice. Alright, so this has to go out a little bit more, and then up a bit. Okay, so now you're at this level. We need to bring you over to here, probably. Let's see, how are we even getting this in? So we could just, like, use it to top off these rows individually, or we could just shove it... Okay, I know what we're going to do, actually. We are first going to use it to top up the existing rows. So let's get mergers on all of these guys, and then our new row can fill them all up. And then any excess it has after that, we can then just toss in somewhere else. Alright, so we've got all this. So, you go up across that, and you are going to get a smart splitter there, which is left any center overflow. And then this needs to run back to all of these. So you go forwards a bit, and that wasn't perfectly straight, but that's fine. So now we get another smart splitter in there, which also goes across that and then down into there. Apparently that's too steep. So we're going to need your conveyor pole to be a little further back, and hopefully that'll give you enough room. Alright, how about if you do something like that? No, you need to be... You probably just need to be down at ground level by the time you get to there. Which is not ideal, but we can do something like that. And then down, and then in. And that more or less works. Alright. So that is left any center overflow. And then we just have to keep on running this back. It's going to have to sneak underneath our train line thing that we have here. So you go out to here and up and over, and then you get a smart splitter, which I really need to copy those settings. We've done most of them at this point already. Okay, so then that goes up there. You go forward to there. And then this just continues along. Now we have a lot fewer belts to hop over, which is convenient. So then you just hop over that. And we're going to need to shift this around a little bit in order to get the exact spacing right. So that then goes in. Yeah, this is all a little bit janky, but it's fine. I forgot to copy it again, so we will again put it in manually. And then this last one doesn't need to skip over any belts. It can just go in here. Left any center overflow. And then you connect up like that and like that. Okay, so now we have... Where is this? So this output is up here. We want you to come all the way over to this way. All the way over here. And then from here, just go up through this whole area. And just something like that. So that all connects. Then this is going to go down right to there. And that connects down. And then that goes out, and this whole thing gets connected like that. And we have aluminum ingots coming out of this. Which should mean, first of all, let's get all these to be priority mergers with priority center medium. And we will remember to copy the settings this time so that this input only does a little bit of work, not all of the work. And so each of these have their priorities set up correctly. Let's get that last one in. And now these should all be basically locked at 1200 a minute, no matter what. I don't know why this one... Oh, just a previous gap, which we've since fixed. Very good. So that is step one. So we've gotten all that fixed. And next is step 2, which is to take everything left over from this and put the rest of it into the other machines evenly, or into the train stations evenly, which is at the moment going to require a splitter. So let's make this go in a different shape than the others, just so that we can see that it's doing something completely different. So this is going to get all the way over to here. And these are doing their thing. They're getting 1,200 a minute in, and they're outputting 2,400 a minute in between train stops. So now let's get them a little bit upgraded. So we need a bit more space for this. Let's grab that space. Then we need one wall up and a little bit of space up here. So this is going to be a 1-to-5 splitter where we take the extras from that belt and just put them in. And hopefully this will on its own be enough. I would be lying if I said I was optimistic, but every little bit counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those attached up. And then this just sort of slopes down to here. And then we connect it in. And we now have greater than 1,200 a minute inputs for all of these. That should be quite helpful. So that's that train leaving, and it has mostly full cargoes except for the last one for some reason. The fixite aluminum is actually mostly filled as well, which is, I don't know why that is. Okay, now are you able to fully unload in time? 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, you are. So, this is still capable of doing everything that it needs to. So that's all good. So now we have definitively more than 6,000 a minute. I don't know how much more. Probably like a good 800 more. We're like 100 to 50. We're like 50 to 100 short on each of these, right? So that's like 500-ish that we're replacing with this new belt. So hopefully it's fine. And that's going. Train is just filling. And it seems like we might indeed want to have even more throughput on this secondary side. So the plus 1,200 seems to not be enough. So let's leave that for next time. I think this is a good stopping point, right? So we've finally, kind of through cheating, gotten all these up to 1,200 max, although this one, I don't know why it's showing like that. So now that these are all solid, we should be good to go to just keep expanding this out. And I also have no idea if our bauxite supply is actually going to be enough for this in the long term, so that'll be something we need to investigate. So yeah, these are now doing more than the others. A lot more than the others, in fact. So yeah, we might need to balance this demand out a bit more, because that could be a limiting factor. I guess we'll see. So if we connect the rest of these up, then it'll almost certainly be fine. We might just need to add like an extra bauxite patch or two, which shouldn't be terribly difficult. There's still a couple out there, right? There's like an impure and a normal in there, and I mean that's basically it, right? But maybe not all of these are fully utilized. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit more bauxite in the world to grab. We can also redirect more over here from the old bauxite factory if we absolutely need to. Although I want to keep that running just to prevent you know, overstressing the train system in this area. But we'll have to see what happens with that. Okay, so these are still mostly keeping up, though. So they get their new delivery, and that's going to be filling up now. And we just need to see if this can actually just drain fast enough before the next train shows up. So that is draining. This is slowly filling, and then the next train shows up and it all goes away. Okay, so yeah, this is probably not draining fast enough, so we are probably going to need to even more heavily utilize these, or more realistically, we're going to need to set the bauxite supplies differently so that they don't stop off as often. So let's just try doing that. So you aluminum bauxite 2 until fully loaded and unloaded, or wait 60 seconds. Let's get that in. So there you go. Hopefully that will solve the issue. So you shouldn't immediately unload. You should wait for this to be clear enough, which should give this plenty of time to build up its buffer. Now that might cause weird behavior on these front couple, but I guess that's what we'll just have to find out. And we're going to set those same settings for all of these. Aluminum bauxite 2, fully loaded or unloaded, or wait 60 seconds. Save changes. Okay, so there it goes. This was previously like 90% empty, and actually might have even stopped temporarily. Now it's getting a solid delivery. There we go. And that's another aluminum train. They just keep coming. Okay, it just barely made it. Hopefully that margin of error will grow over time with more of these. I really do not like this being 99% empty by the time the next train shows up. That is quite gross. So that one is in and should be doing the same thing. We're going to need to change the settings on this next train that shows up to get it in. So that one should be waiting for 60 seconds or until that needs to be emptied. So you then get the same thing, fully loaded, unloaded, or wait 60 seconds. Save changes. Okay. So that is that, and this is definitely filling up over time now. So we should be in the clear as long as the excess bauxite from here isn't just an illusion of these trains being filled. It should be fine now. So now bauxite is going, and we've got all these trains over here, which now should be doing a lot better. So you already had some aluminum in you. That's because you're the plutonium aluminum thing. Okay. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap up here. Thanks, Ev, for hanging out. I had a real good time. And let's see here. So next time, tomorrow, I'm going to be doing Factorio, where we are making serious headway on the legendary plastic stuff. So we have actual legendary plastic production on Gleba, which is very exciting. So hopefully we can just continue scaling that up until we have all the legendary modules we need. Other than that, we will be back in Satisfactory on Thursday, where we might do a bit more bauxite improvements, but I really want to go over to nuclear pasta to get that all sorted out. And I think I still have to set some of these, right? Yeah. So I still need to set some of these up. But yeah, that's about it. We're going to be wrapping up here. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so if you're interested in various factory building games, then make sure to stop by and give me a follow if you haven't already. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.